Hey, quick question. Have you written and published your first novel, manga, comic, or script yet? Why haven't you? What's that? Great art takes time? And how long have you taken? Oh, you're not ready? You're still world building. Yeah, me too. I spent years in the world I built. I'll tell you about that later. We, my friends. Yes, we have been seduced by something I like to call the world building trap, or more commonly known as world building disease. Now, what is the world building trap, you may ask? To dumb it down a bit, it's basically a writing pitfall where creators get stuck in endless, often unnecessary world building details instead of writing the story. Or to dumb it down even more, it's just procrastination that feels productive, which in reality it really isn't. Like, dude, we don't need to know the backstory of every single tree branch in your world. You don't need to have thousands of flora and fauna, each with Latin scientific names and detailed accounts of their life cycles. Yeah, I kinda did this too. And you don't need to create your own damn language. But Tolkien, shut the fuck up! Look, Tolkien was a professor of linguistics who just so happens to write a goddamn good novel. So his smart ass knows how to make a language, unlike our dumma. Like, just use English, man, or whatever language you're comfortable writing in. We don't need a language for every race in your fantasy story, even though it will be more realistic. People don't remember your story because of the made-up language. I mean, sure, it's fun, but people remember your story because of, well, the plot and the characters. So that's a much better thing to focus on. Here's a piece of advice that's probably really controversial. Don't world build. Stop it. Get some help. Some people take years world building before they even write chapter 1. And honestly, that defeats the purpose of writing a story in the first place. Your world building should support the story, not hinder it from being made. A lot of you probably need to hear this, but your world building document shouldn't be longer than your novel. One of the best pieces of advice for people who like to over plan everything is literally to just stop planning and go with the flow. As some of you may know, there are two types of writers. Well, actually it's more of a spectrum, but for simplicity's sake, let's say there's two kinds, and both are equally valid. We have planners and pantsers. Usually world building disease is way more common in planners because we like to plan everything, while pantsers are more immune to it since they like to go with the flow. Yeah, I'm not asking you to completely stop world building since it is quite fun, but try to stay on the main road and not drive so far off that you end up in the middle of nowhere. Here is something that really helped me stay focused on writing a story. One is to outline your story first and world build from there, like only what is needed in the story. For example, your main characters, their arcs, maybe the places they go to. If you're world building about another country they won't even go to altogether, just keep it to a sentence or a paragraph at most. Here's an example of a story outline I have. One of my shorter ones though for time purposes. Let's say I want to write a tragic romance story. I'll start with short one sentences about my characters. Our two main characters are going to be two bullied students who are outcasts, Elliot and Corvus. Elliot is an albino who has a weak body and is going to die soon because of an illness. It is his first time going to school and he is highly optimistic and a Chunibyo astrologer who wears a wizard hat and cloak basically. Corvus on the other hand is an edgy doomer who just wants to be left alone. Highly realistic, pessimistic, a bit edgy, and has dreams that were crushed by society and parents, so he's trying to have a realistic future. Now that we have our two main characters, we can move on to make an outline for the story like the following. 1. Elliot and Corvus are dating. They lie down in the grass watching the stars. 2. A shooting star falls down. 3. Elliot is interested in the star and making wishes, but Corvus is worried as it's an actual freaking cartoon star. 4. Nothing happens at first, but Elliot is slowly corrupted by the eldritch star. Every time he wishes for something, he is given it, but it takes away something from him in return, something that makes him human. 5. We get some backstory on the characters on who they are and how they become a couple as they hang out in and out of school. 6. Elliot and Corvus get to be intimate and hold each other for real for the first time because of Elliot's wishes. 7. Corvus tries to sacrifice himself to the star to get Elliot to live longer, but it doesn't work. 8. Eventually Elliot dies, becoming a star. Leaving Corvus alone with his final wish is for Corvus to be happy without him. 9. Maybe an epilogue where years pass where Corvus reflects and chooses to follow his dreams and live for himself because of Elliot. That's the gist of the outline. From writing the outline, what should you world build? Probably Elliot and Corvus's character profiles. We can have a document of a more detailed backstory for them, like more details on Elliot's illness and how he coped with it, and Corvus's dreams and how they were crushed. The school they go to, maybe a paragraph each about side characters like the bullies and our MC's parents. How Elliot's wizard hat and cloak actually protects his sensitive skin from the sun. Maybe a paragraph on the eldritch magic star, having it to be more of a mystery, even to me, the writer. Am I going to write what planet or the full detailed origins of the star?
Oh, hell no!
I'm not going to write how the universe was created and how stars are made. Just implying it is enough. You can have mental notes and imply it to the reader and trust that they are smart enough to figure it out. Just write the essentials. A majority of the world's elements should not be detailed. It's called the iceberg technique. You just focus on the essential elements on the top portion of the iceberg. World build details that will impact the main plot. Pick and choose which areas to develop. I know this isn't a fantasy example because honestly even I haven't got my fantasy story figured out yet, but just develop the places where characters go to and the people they meet instead of an entire country that will be relevant in the sequel. That's never coming since you can't even finish that first book. It looks simple now, but you can work out the details of the story as you write it. Like heck, I don't know what's going to happen in my story and that's not a bad thing. It's actually the charm of writing and why it's actually fun. We can figure it out as we write and change the outline as we do. Maybe I want a happy ending instead of another tragic one. Who knows? The second tip is to set a deadline. Like if I were to spend a year writing the world building of my story, I'd just have wasted that year. World build all of it in like at most a week or something. If you can't finish it by then, you're already world building too much. You already wasted too much time already. And if you don't have the time because of your 9 to 5 or school, just pants it honestly. A single chapter is worth more than a folder of world building documents that will never see the light of day. And if you like world building, maybe give yourself a reward after finishing a chapter, like writing about that cool character or monster you had a cool idea about after. Remember, after, and as a little reward after finishing the chapter. Quick reminder, your world building doc shouldn't be longer than your actual story. So that's how to escape the trap. But knowing how to escape isn't the same as escaping. And I think that's because the trap isn't really about world building at all. It's about something else entirely. So let me tell you why we fall in the first place. Why I did. You see, I've been writing ever since I was in middle school. I'd sit at the back of my dad's car as he drove me home. We didn't really talk much. Not like there was anything to talk about. And there was no TikTok or Instagram reels back then. Thank God. So I just wrote stories, fanfics, world building. You probably could already tell by this, but I was a lonely kid. I didn't have much friends. Was an outcast even among other outcasts. Stories were my way of connecting with the world. There's something about making art that attracts the loneliest of people. Those who want to express themselves with no one to express themselves to. To write, to create all kinds of art really, is to take something inside you and show it to the world. To have your mind laid bare. That's why it's hard to separate the art and the artist, because the art is a piece of the artist. And that is why it is truly one of the most terrifying things in the world. What if it's bad? What if no one likes it? What if I'm not good enough for this? And that's why you creatives would rather world build than write the actual story. World building is safe. We show no one, for our eyes only. We think that if we world build enough that no one can point out our plot holes or inconsistencies. That if we world build enough that the story will be perfect and beloved by all. When you world build, you become God. Everything makes sense because you designed it. We get the immediate gratification the creative part of our brain craves from world building, and not the slow, delayed gratification of writing a story. But when you are writing the actual story, you become another struggling creative, one out of millions who hasn't made it yet or will never make it at all. I have built my world for years, filled with creatures, kingdoms, characters, with backstories that span pages, but I never finished the story because I consider it my magnum opus and that I will finish it when I am ready. That it is the one that will break me free from the mundanities of existence. A world built from my own loneliness that might never see the light of day because I'm too scared to share it with the world. You want to know what that world looked like? It was a fantasy world where the gods were corrupt. Authority figures could demanded obedience and punished anyone who asked questions. A world where the people of power are too familiar to what my reality looks like, what ours looks like, but driven to the extreme. And my main antagonist, the God Slayer, he was everything I wanted to be. Ambitious, powerful. He had people who actually believed in him, and when the gods told him to kneel, he chose to cut their heads off instead. I loved this character. I gave him everything I wished I had, and I still made him the villain because I still planned for him to lose in the end. I don't know what that says about me. Maybe it's because I believe the ones who win in the end aren't cruel, aren't rulers, who'll never stoop as low as those they are trying to fight. Or maybe my self-confidence has been crushed so many times that I don't believe that ambitious part of me will ever win. But I do know I spent years in that world, hiding, calling it preparation instead of what it actually is, fear. When you write a story, you're putting pieces of yourself in it, pieces and thoughts that you will need to share with the world. You open yourself up to hate and criticism, up to interpretations that you never meant. But maybe, worst of all, you open up yourself to be ignored, to be forgotten, to be one of the millions of artists that will never be remembered. We world build because we are terrified of putting ourselves out there. But that's the thing, isn't it? We won't improve unless we put it out there and be open to criticism. We'll never finish the story if we can't even start the first chapter. And an unfinished story is worse than a bad one. A lot of people in this world don't get to finish their stories. Let the characters you love finish theirs. Good or bad, it'll be an end. And an ending is better than an eternity of wandering. Share a piece of yourself with the world. For in the age where everyone seems to follow what's popular, let your individuality shine through. So yeah, even if you're scared, just start and do it anyway in spite of the fear, because that's what bravery is. Not the absence of fear, but carrying on despite it. Go post your story online, whether that be Wattpad, Royal Road, or to pitch it to an actual publisher. And even if you fail, there's always next time and the next, until you eventually perish, that is. And even if you never make it, it's better to be like Icarus, to laugh as you fall, for to fall at all meant that you had soared, because to burn and fall is a better fate than never trying at all.